Hey everybody, welcome on into the Delmarva Sports Insider, your only live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports. I'm Sports Director Brandon Bossert.
What's up, it's your Philly sports anchor Devin J. Martin. Welcome into the show. We've got a lot to get in tonight. We got a lot of indoor action now. You know, we're in the middle of January. It did warm up today, but this week and the past couple weeks it's been a little bit colder, so all of our sports have been inside.
Yeah, I've been sweating inside today. It's been crazy out.
It was like 72 degrees. I'm like, what the heck just happened? But on Monday it was like 25 degrees. So you know the weather patterns are just all over the place.
But you know what? Tonight we saw a pretty decent game between Y-High and Washington, the Tribe on the road down there in Princess Anne. Devin,
Yeah,
you were at that game.
Yeah, the Tribe, they definitely needed this win. I don't want to.
It's been a bit of a rocky season for Y-High this
Yeah,
year.
and I think Wednesday might have been the peaks and valleys of an NBA high school season. I think this was definitely a valley
Against
for the
Snow
Tribe
Hill.
against Snow Hill. Yeah, they lost 105-34. I know the Tribe faithful don't want us to really talk about that game too much, so we can move on from that specific game. But from a confidence standpoint, the Tribe, they needed the win tonight coming out of Princess Anne because they need to get back into the winning ways if things start feeling good about themselves again. Now, the Tribe, they had a down year compared to the last couple of seasons, but the Jags have also taken a big step back from last year. They might have been, one of the, big comeback teams or one of the big resurgence teams last season because the Jags won 9 games. But this year, Brandon, they've only won 1. So, yeah, it's been tough to kind of go also in Washington and, go to some of those games because they've only won 1 game all year. And I think a big reason for that is they've had a lot of self-inflicted wounds that just kept them from winning a lot of games. And tonight was no different. Obviously, Tayshawn Swan, he was a monster. He was getting steal after steal after steal.
A good young player for Y-High.
Yeah, he's taken a big step, and he just, he got a lot of turnovers, forced a lot of turnovers from the Jags, and that just helped the Tribe get a big lead in this game. And I'm surprised the Jags were even breathing after this game because of how often they were coughing up the ball tonight. Swan was just a menace on both sides of the ball, just getting a whole bunch of steals and easy points for Y-High.
You were surprised they were breathing.
I mean, they were just coughing up the ball all the time. I mean, there was nothing they could do. The defense was so crazy. They were just, sweltering the Jags. And as you can see on your screen, every time they got a stop, it led to a basket, or they just stole the ball from them and it led to a basket.
The Jags down quite a bit with under 3 minutes left. Not enough time to complete the comeback, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't try. They would score a few buckets late in this one. Ultimately, Y-High goes on to win this one by 20. So a good win for Y-High, who continues to, ride the roller coaster so far this year.
Yeah,
All right.
they've lost some talent, but they're still back.
Now let's move on to talk about 2 title contenders in the Bayside in the 1A conference, or in the 1A conference in all of Maryland. We have to talk about Snow Hill and Cambridge South Dorchester. Now, Cambridge South Dorchester and Snow Hill are the 2 top teams here on Delmarva, both in the 1A, who have been impressive recently. Cambridge was down 2 starters the other night against Salisbury School. They were down 16 entering the 4th quarter and somehow won that game.
Yeah, that shows a lot to the resiliency of the team. Now, Brandon, I know we're going to talk about it right now, but between the 2 teams, Snow Hill and Cambridge, both of them have great chances of winning the 1A. If I have to pick one, I'm going to go with Snow Hill. Now, obviously, the Vikings did beat the Eagles earlier at the very beginning of the season, but I still think that Cambridge, they have a tendency, to play with their food. Sometimes they're in games for the first half where they should be blowing the team out, and they're not, and they keep things a lot closer than they should, and then they flip the switch and turn it on in the second half. And that's happened a couple times this year. And now, obviously, they were down 16 to Salisbury School. Obviously, they were dealing with some injuries, but even in the Governor's Challenge, they did that, and also against Colonel Richardson a couple weeks ago, they were only up 1 before they held Colonels to 6 points in the second half. So if they could do that in the second half, they could have done that the entire game. And I just think, the Eagles have a little bit more firepower and more explosive scores that they can rely upon when it's time to go deep in the playoffs, including that man on the screen right there, Jaden Hudson, and obviously Keandre Nixon as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm taking Cambridge. LaShawn Moody showed a ton of heart the other night against Salisbury School. An absolute warrior out there, left literally everything on the court. He was gassed after that game, and you know what? When Cambridge is full strength, I think that they are the best team in the 1A around our area. But you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun the rest of the way to see who comes out on top. What do you think? Who do you think has the best team in the 1A? Is it Cambridge or Snow Hill? Let us know on our social media pages right now. Now, let's move on to some other final scores from the Bayside Conference. Salisbury School rebounding nicely, 65-63 winners over Queen Anne's Lions. Tough loss at home, but still just one game back of Cambridge in the loss column in the Bayside North. St. Michael's 70, Colonel Richardson 62. Shout out to St. Mike's because 4-7 record for many other programs be a down year, but this program has improved so much over the last couple of seasons. They're staying in a lot of contests. Hats off to the Saints, who have had a big turnaround. And Crisfield over Pocomoke, 68-65, another 1A team that's battling every single night. Crabbers with a last-second win at their conference rival, Pocomoke. So great to see Crisfield getting some wins as well.
Now, we talk a lot about Snow Hill and obviously Cambridge, but speaking of Snow Hill, they actually have a rematch tomorrow against Decatur. That's going to be a really, really big game. But, you know, it's so big that they had to release an announcement. The Decatur school districts down there in Berlin had to release an announcement saying that along with the other 2 basketball games that's taking place at the Hawks next, Decatur will have an additional police presence on site, and fans will be asked to leave immediately following the game, with fans of the teams leaving in separate exits. And there's going to be a triple header of basketball, boys JV in the morning, followed by girls varsity at noon, and then that concludes with the boys varsity game at 2 p.m. And there will be a no tolerance policy towards unsportsmanlike behavior, which can and will result in removal from the game.
Yeah, and that's obviously in reference to last week's game, which ended with a fight in the hallways, which did not involve either of the teams. So Decatur High School taking that very seriously. Don't want to see any shenanigans at this game.
Absolutely. Now let's transition over to Delaware. The turnaround of the season so far has definitely been Smyrna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
they've been really, really good this year after being bad last year, and we got to see them up close and personal in Georgetown against Sussex Central. What a game this one. Daniel McBride Allen started things off with the slam, but the Eagles respond. Maurice Kilgo drills the corner 3 straight cash. The Eagles led for most of the first half thanks to their tenacious defense, forcing steals and getting out and break and in scoring in transition. Smyrna led by 7 at halftime and led by 4 after 3 quarters, but the Golden Knights stepped up for the battle as time winded down. Philip Daugherty turning up the heat on defense, stripping him at half court, laying it in. That ties the game at 49, but the Eagles want to keep their win streak alive. They were at 6 in a row. Obi Coleman going baseline to make it a 2-point game, and this was like a heavyweight fight, throwing haymakers back and forth. Brendan Spencer drills the 3 to put Central up 1 with a minute left to go in the game.
Yeah, it looked like the Eagles were on the ropes, but you know what? Kilgo responding right here with this pull-up. Eagles go ahead with 40 ticks to go on the clock, but Central would get that last bucket. They get a feed right here off the inbound pass. It's David Maker with the go-ahead basket. Central would make their free throws down the stretch. What do we think of Smyrna? Are they a conference title contender, or are they just much improved this year?
I think time will only tell. I think, obviously, coming from the struggle season that they had last year, it's going to be hard to go from one of the worst teams in the state to automatically being a conference title contender or a state title contender. So we're going to see as time goes on.
All right, now some final scores from the Henlopen. And Seaford over Laurel, but 56-53. Cash Wise with 32 points to lead Seaford to the win. Very close ending here. And you know what? Laurel is getting better and better every time out. Lake Forest 69-38 winners over Indian River. Lake 11-0. They will play against Seaford 11-0 coming up on Tuesday, as long as the weather cooperates this time. And Dover over Cape Henlopen 59-48. So Dover rebounding with 2 wins after that 1-point loss to St. Elizabeth. So anything stand out to you there?
Oh yeah, that game between Seaford and Laurel. Laurel's been putting up been in a lot of good games, and I think they're improving and growing as the season goes on. But I'm really excited to see what's going to happen between that Seaford Lake Forest game. Both teams undefeated. Someone's got to lose.
Yeah, not this year, but next year I could see Laurel being one of the top teams in the Henlopen South. They have a lot of good young talent. They're improving every single time out. That'll do it for the A block. We're taking a timeout. When we return, Max Preps has come out with their #1 high school baseball team in every state in the country. Which Henlopen school took Delaware's top spot? That's coming up next on the Delmarva Sports Insider.
I'm Sayla Foreman with Wild High Girls Basketball, and you're watching Delmarva Sports Insider.